Okay, so today we're going to talk about the idea of work-life balance and it being impossible, right? And I'm going to give you an alternative instead. And this isn't like a fancy little rebranding where I'm going to go, it's not work-life balance, it's work-life integration. No, I'm going to show you an alternative that I've used and I use with all my clients, right? And if you're watching this in video, to create a bit of context, I've been trying to make this video all day, right? But my mother-in-law's been sick and the kids have been at home and it's been literally impossible to get this board out in the house. So I also just tried recording it and my mic wasn't on. So now the kids are at bed. It's getting dark. I'm going to have to brighten this up. This light will come on and off, but we're going to give it a go anyway, right? And hopefully you get something valuable from it. So this whole idea of work-life balance being impossible. So if we think about what work-life balance is, right? Like it's almost like a little bit of a scale where on one side we have our work, on the other side we have our life, right? And we have this like delicate balance that we're trying to do all the time, right? So if we put this on here on work, we try and put this here on life. So if we work an extra hour in work, then we'll make sure that we, spend an extra hour with the kids at the weekend. Oh yeah, but I stayed late that one, so we'll have to add this little half on here and this little half hour on here. And it's this constant battle, right, to keep the scales set, just so we can stay on track, right? Like just so we can say we're staying still, we're unbalanced, we're not completely off kilter. But the thing that we forget, right, and the thing that most people forget is that these inputs are in our control, right? But we make an assumption that we're building on steady grind, right? So like these scales are built on steady grind, flat grind. And that's all the external circumstances, right, that aren't necessarily in our control. So but the reality is, like, as a high-performing dad, a dad with young kids, a dad with a busy job or, fast-growing business with lots of demands of you, the grind's never steady, right? Like, the kids are always sick. Something else happens, a big work crisis happens, a client doesn't pay on time, your wife has to go away with work, right? Like, all of these things happen. Like, it's almost like a feature when things are steady. Right? We treat it as like a bit of a bug in the system and go, oh, well, that's a bit weird. I'm actually going to turn this light on, see if that works. Nah. Anyway. Oh, it did work. But being on steady grind just doesn't normally happen. What actually happens is we're built on really sort of tumultuous grind, right? It's almost like we're built on an earthquake. So that's constantly moving. The external circumstances are constantly moving and there's nothing you can really do about it. So no matter how much inputs and outputs that you focus on, you're fighting a losing battle. You're fighting something that's impossible. Like it will topple. It's not doable. This goal, this aspiration that everyone wants, this idea of work-life balance just isn't doable. And look, that's the thing that I wanted for so many years. That was the thing that I aspired to, especially when I had kids. And in first conversations with guys all the time, like that is the thing that comes up, right? It's always I want more work-life balance. And what I propose, what I invite you to, the system structure that I've now implemented is this idea, instead of looking at our work and life, we work in seasons, right? So with seasons is, instead of ignoring the grind that you're building on, we look at that first, right? We go like, what are the external circumstances going on at the moment? Like, what do we actually know that is going to happen in the next 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks across the main parts of our life? So we're aware what we're actually trying to achieve. We're aware of what we're building on. So at the moment we're in the summer, so lots of people have kids off on school holidays, which makes the grind unsteady. So if we're aware of what we're building on to begin with, then we create standards and expectations for ourselves. So Like when I work with guys, when we're setting goals, when we're setting standards for ourselves, we look at the four key areas of a deliberate dad's life: his work, his kids, his self, and his relationships. And depending on the grind that we're building on, then we only have a certain amount of focused attention energy that we have for every season, right? So if this is all of our focus and attention here, this circle, then we have to decide which parts we're focusing on, we're giving attention to, we're creating proportionate goals for this season that we're building on. So if we use this rocky grind example as this summer, right? So my wife's gone back to work. She's a florist. So she's been really focused on doing that, right? Like she had some weddings booked in before we had our baby. So therefore family was a big thing for me. We don't have like lots of childcare at the moment. So I spent a lot of time on family this summer / kids. And because statutory maternity leave is absolutely terrible in the UK, therefore I spend lots of time in work as well, right? So for this season, work, family, kids, step across, work, family, and kids, super important, right? Like took a lot of my effort and energy, which left less time for relationships, especially with my wife, and for myself. But I'm aware of this. I decided this beforehand. I know that summer was here. This was the grind that I was building on. So therefore I defined this. I decided this beforehand. So therefore I create proportionate goals based on the amount of effort and energy that I put in here. So these work ones can be big ones. The family kids ones can be big ones. It could be, going on big trips. It could be going on holidays. It could be spending time, more time than I would in another season. With work one, it can be a big lofty goal because I'm putting effort, attention, energy, time into it. Whereas, with self, am I going to run a marathon in this season? Well, if I set that goal for myself, I'm not going to give enough time, effort, energy to do it. So I'm going to be disappointed. So I let that one go for now. So therefore, you're aware before you go into this period of time where your time, effort, energy, attention is going. You've created realistic expectations for yourself. And so you're not like fighting this whole scale and work-life balance. And the good thing about seasons is as well is like you're able to ride this rocky grind and move forward, right? Whereas with this idea of work-life balance, all you're really doing is fighting to stand still. So we're always moving forward and we're able to ride out the bumps in this based on the decisions that we've made here. And the beauty about seasons as well is that this period of time will end. So there was a start, there was a spring, and there's going to be an autumn for me, right? Which is here. And when we get there, like the ground's not going to be flat. Like, don't get me wrong, the ground is not going to be flat, but it's probably going to be slightly less bumpy because Lenny's going into childcare, my baby's going into childcare, my wife's going back to work. We'll be a bit more settled. There'll be different routines. It's a different season. So therefore this will change, right? I'll be able to change the goals that I set for myself based on the season changing. What I'd invite you to, instead of like going for this lofty idea of work-life balance, is have a look at seasons, right? Define your season for yourself, create proportionate attention and goals off the back of it, and stop going after something that doesn't really exist. And if you need any help with it, I've created a super simple season setter GPT. So you can just do a quick voice note of what's going on the external circumstances in your life. It will define your season for you, and you can create proportionate goals, attention, energy off the back of it. It's in the captions, or it's in the description, or it's on my profile, wherever you're watching this. And enjoy it and let me know how you get on.